welcome to another episode of my Filipino adventure. Red leader checking in. I got to show my geeky side once in a while. And this is one of my this was sitting in the basement, it's all falling apart. I used to paint these on poster board. Not a good idea. This is my washing machine going off. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this a little bit shorter than the other ones. I do tend to babble on. I just have a lot of thoughts in my head. So this is part 3 of making income in the Philippines. I am not an expert. Do not take my advice. So we talked about land-based, we talked about franchise, and now we're going to talk about the number 3, like miscellaneous or different retail opportunities and maybe building opportunities. So this is a short one, but they're generalized. So like market day. There's a market day almost every week in a barangay near you. Even in the big cities, they have a market that you can either rent a booth. Sometimes you're just under a big tent and you can rent tables. And sometimes, like they said, they're like little booths you can rent just for market day. It's usually one day a week, unless there's a festival or something going on. And then if you have something not too much overhead, and I think all these are pretty low overheads. I don't think nobody's going to lose their ass on any of the suggestions that I came up with, maybe except for some of the high-end franchise ones. And then it's really easy. You can go to Alibaba or, especially if you're in the Philippines, it's just a quick flight over to China. It's easy to make contacts to find cheap Chinese shit. And you can set up and sell sleepers, flip-flops. You can sell plastic cups, plastic bowls. You buy it cheap, you mark it up a little bit. You're not going to get rich, but I think the whole idea of what I'm talking about here is just to make a little bit of money and keep yourself busy. So if you do that, let's say every Saturday, you do that 4 Saturdays a month, even if you only make $30, $40, $50 after you pay for everything, and so there's an extra $200, or even if it's less, even if you make $25, so that's $50, that's $100 a month. Every little bit helps. And if that's only 4 days out of the month for that $100, that leaves you with 27, 26 other days just to make a little bit, just something to fill your days. I'm not going to be sitting around twiddling my thumbs when I'm there. I need to be doing stuff. Water filtration. This one's a little bit more time consuming, but once it's up and running, I'm sure that you can hire workers to do that. And I know that's always a tricky part. People say, oh, you can't trust people, especially like in the kiosk business. They'll steal from you, or they give. That's the same everywhere you go. And I've owned companies. I've owned pet stores. I've owned film production companies. I've had stores before. I've been a consulting partner in a salad shop. So it happens. We always call it spoilage for like food and things like that. That's spoiled. But we also use that same term when we talk about people stealing stuff, skimming. And it's going to happen. It's human nature. So just keep it to a minimum. But nobody's going to steal you blind unless you're completely blind. And you can do simple things like with the buku shakes. Count the caps. You leave them caps. You leave them 200 caps. At the end of the day, you count those caps. It'd be easy math to figure out how many caps we're not charged for. Or this is in this day and age technology, it's nothing to set up a couple of webcams that you can watch on your phone and monitor your businesses on your phone. So it's going to happen everywhere. It's not exclusive to the Philippines, that's for sure. So it's a percentage you have to build into your equation. So the water filtration, it's about a $5,000 investment for the filtration equipment. This was a tip from Brian too. He said that he was thinking about this, and I hope I'm not giving away all of his secrets. I apologize, Brian, if I am. But how many people are actually watching these videos or actually really moving to the Philippines? And the ones there, how many are actually going to start a business? It's a pretty small percentage. But I think with the water filtration, what you have to worry about is stepping on people's toes, because it is a pretty well-filled market. if there's a town with people in it, there's going to be a water filtration system around there because it's something they need every single day. That's the plus about it. They need it every single day. There's not a lot of huge profit, not a lot of markup in it, but it's quantity. They're going to need water every single day. And if you can have, like, I think I read around 300 customers, you can turn a profit. But you're going to be, that'll be 300 customers you're going to be taking away from somebody else. So try to see it. It's a growing market where there's room for you to fit in there somewhere. But I would not suggest, and any of these ventures, let me say this right now, I do not suggest that you think that you're going to go in and just set up shop and take work and money and food out of the mouths of the locals. You don't want to do that. Families are tight and life is cheap there. So, there's no reason to make a small footprint, keep a low profile, and that's why I like to sample a little bit here and there. I still think that the water filtration, if the circumstances are right, is a possibility. And you're not gonna lose your ass if it folds. $5,000 is a lot of money, but really it's not that much money. Okay, franchise. This is just a possibility I just stumbled upon because I'm thinking about building. Why I'm there building my house. I'm going to build some out things. Maybe build a couple bed and breakfast or boarding house situation if I have a good location, and that's the quality of the block. There's quite a few videos out there about the quality of the cinder block. It's brittle. It's usually uneven. They use a poor mix, so it's not very strong. You can request, I think, better mixes from local people who make the block, but still, they're all made by hand in forms. And they tap it in, they pour it in, they tap it, and they shake it, and then they set it out in the sun. And sometimes they stack them too early, where they're not drying yet, and it makes the bottom ones misshapen. So you get a lot of inconsistency in shape and a lot of inconsistency in quality of materials. So you can get automated block making machines. They come with a mixer, a big heavy duty mixer, conveyor belt. You go to the top of this hydraulic or diesel powered press, and you can buy forms for all different, like 50 or 75 different style of blocks, paving blocks. The little 4-inch ones, the ones that we're used to in the States, the 8-inch ones, all different curved ones, all different types of forms you can buy. So you can probably spend $10,000 on a decent setup. You can get a real simple hydraulic ones for like under $5,000, like considerably, like maybe $3,000 to $4,000. They even have really nice big heavy duty hand manual ones where you can press it in there into these forms, which are still a lot better, I think, than the way that a lot of the locals do them. And those are a couple $1,000s. Now I might invest one of those just to tinker with around to make my own blocks for my own projects on the property. And if it's feasible, by the time you pay for the sand and the gravel and the concrete mix to sell them for a competitive rate, I think most of the 4-inch block over like 12 pesos. So if there's a couple pesos profit in each one, people never just buy 1 or 2 blocks. They're going to buy quite a few at a time. So that's a possibility right there. Just make a few bucks, and that's something. If it's on your property, you can hire a local guy for 350, 400, 500 pesos a day, whatever the going rate is. Pay him a little bit extra if you can, and if you can make a profit off that, sell some block. Once again, without taking too much business away from anybody else. So those are a few of the miscellaneous things. Now let me see how I'm going to put this. So I'm not looking for something full-time. I'm not looking to start up a big business. I just want to, and I think it's the smart way to do it too. This way you're not stepping on too many toes. You sample a little bit from here, you sample a little bit from here, you make a couple pesos there, and you make a couple pesos there. You get 3 or 4 little money generating things, and it adds up. By the end of the month, that adds up to a little bit. So let's say with the farm, you have chickens, more chickens than you need. Your mangoes are producing more than you need. I mean, it's a small window. You can't eat, 200 kilos of mangoes. They're gonna rot. So sell those off cheap to the neighbors, or sell them to some people in the market at cheap prices, and they can resell them. So let's say you can make eggs and then you get an extra piglet once in a while, that's 2,500 pesos. So let's say by the end of the month, you've sold $50 worth of stuff out of your farm. And that might be high, or it might be low. But let's just stick with $50, okay? Let's say the YouTube channel is still going, and say that's $50 to $100 a month, which I think is reasonable. I know some people, he says it pays his rent, and I think some people say I'll be lucky if I make $100. So, you know, let's say $100. Okay, so you got $150 a month there. And then if I have the property and it's in a good location for work, maybe I'll build a little 3 or 4 room boarding house. Now that's an investment, but I'm a contractor. To me, building a house or a structure is not a big daunting thing, especially with cheap labor prices in the Philippines. It's not going to cost. It's going to cost you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Depends on how big it is. Maybe less, especially if you're doing the work yourself. So maybe some boarding houses, or if I'm in a pretty location or next to some touristy areas and we haven't bought our land yet, maybe a couple rooms for a bed and breakfast. So we have 2 rooms. That's 14, 28, 56. 56 nights a month that you can rent that room out on Airbnb. And let's say you only get 10. Out of those 56, let's say you only rent 10 times that whole month, which I think is very low. There's another $200. You know, you charge $20 to $25. There's $200 after you pay for the electric for the air conditioners and whatnot. And then there's a whole thing about solar that we'll get into later. So there's a couple $100. And then they say you get the food cart, and you just do them on the weekends. Just do them maybe 1 or 2 nights a week. So let's say that's 4 to 8 times a month you go out and sell your wares. If you make $25, $30 each time, there's a couple $100 more. So you add that up. There's 4, there's $450, there's $550. The block thing, if I can make a few dollars on the block machine. So these are what I'm talking about with money-making ideas. I hope that you're not tuning in here to get, you know, how you're going to make the same amount in the United States as you're going to make over there. I don't think that's a possibility. These are just little ideas where you can supplement your income, and it's not going to suck up all your time. You're not going to be punching a clock. It's less than part-time, I would say, less than part-time work, and I like to keep busy. So I think we'll wrap it up there. I've got a nice video coming from Yna, where her father came back with the fishing boat. It'd been out for 5 days, and they got some fish. And we've got lots of stuff to talk about. I think I saw a deer out there. Distracted very easily. So anyway, subscribe. We're at like 920 or so, 80 more. That would be great. Like, share, comment, thumbs up, thumbs down. Doesn't make a difference to me. Let's get your voice out there. Let me hear you. Stay kind though. Stay civil. Stay classy.